Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our Survivor 45, Episode 9 reaction and review. Let's start this off by saying a happy Thanksgiving to everyone, except for maybe Jeff Probst. No, I'm kidding, but
Also Drew.
okay.
Bruce.
See, I'll share with Bruce with you now. Your guy Bruce had himself quite a night.
Second immunity win in a row. You go, Bruce. I'm so excited for him. Like, when he started to get his package at the beginning of this, I was like, oh no. Is Bruce going home? Like, I started to get really worried.
Yeah.
And then he won, and I was like, oh, maybe a winner's at it. Could that be coming in for Bruce? Let's go.
Okay, I am a Toronto Raptors fan, and there's a point to this story. And when you're a fan of an institution like this, you occasionally say things like, we had a really good game, as though I was somebody who was on the team and participated. Jess's celebration upon Bruce winning the second immunity, she might have actually been competing in this challenge with Bruce, with the way in which that it was the most celebratory I have seen you watching any episode of Survivor in quite some time.
Listen, Bruce has been piled on this season, and I'm not saying that he's the most easiest person to be on the island with or anything like that, but like right from the start, Emily came in hot at him. I mean, Drew made this really arrogant comment in this episode where he was basically like, Bruce is playing imaginary Survivor. It's like, who are you to say that Bruce is not actually playing Survivor? Because you're extra protected by Dee and Austin, who are running this game, not you. So maybe you're playing imaginary Survivor. Like, I would ever play Survivor. Whatever. But like, it was really rude. And I know he didn't say it to Bruce, but like, it's not for him to say that's an imaginary way that Bruce is playing. Bruce is playing. He's got an idol. He's won back-to-back immunities. And it's not only, of course, about winning challenges.
Yeah.
But he has been able to, like, when we first saw him come in and be fun Uncle Bruce, and everybody really liked him and was buying into his social game, like, and then seeing him in this episode learn about Kelly, that she was really, like, gonna vote against him, that she felt like he was overbearing, and he really had this, like, self-reflective moment where he's like, oh my goodness, like, all you get to do out there is think yourself to death, where he's just like, am I like this at home? Am I like this with my wife? Am I like this with my daughter? I'm just like, Bruce, like, you're okay. Like, of course it's important to have self-reflection, but remember you're just in the game and you're hungry and you're tired and you're sleeping on the floor and people aren't being that nice to you, Bruce.
I felt for Bruce a lot. Like I announced last week that, Bruce was starting to win me over, and he has fully won me over now. I've always enjoyed him as a character on this show. I think this season of Survivor would be infinitely worse if Bruce was not a part of it. Even if you're not a fan of Bruce, like, number one, how dare you? But number two,
that's right.
See, I understand now. I understand. But it's just, he brings an entertainment value to this. He's a big personality. He's letting you see all of him, whether it is something that annoys other people or something that is real and genuine in a lot of ways. And, there's a part of me that wants to compare him to Coach, but it's like, the difference is that I don't think Bruce, he's not like going to the 10th degree with telling all these stories or anything, but I think they're both just like very big personalities who, can rub some people the wrong way. But I think deep down, Bruce is just like, he's a guy who wants to be loved. He's a guy who he really cares about what other people think about him. And I think that's what hit him so hard with Kelly. And I really hope this works out for Bruce. I mean, we'll have even more to talk about with Bruce, and way more to talk about with Drew, eye rolls towards Drew and Jeff Probst. But before we do head any further here, we know that this is Thanksgiving, and with Thanksgiving, of course, becomes a little bit of travel for some people, but for other people, this is a chance to catch up on a lot of shows that you may be a little bit behind on. And we're here to help you. We're here to make this so much easier. We have so many shows happening at the channel right now that have really just started. Like Fargo Season 5 premiered earlier this week. We're very fresh into Beacon 23, this great sci-fi show that is over on MGM Plus. A Murder at the End of the World. Awesome show streaming on Hulu, and you can catch up on these shows, and you can also dive in and watch all of our reactions and reviews to these. We are having so much fun right now at the channel, and we want you guys to be a part of it.
Yeah, and if you're looking for just something that's kind of like strange and out there, The Curse is also airing right now. But yeah, if you're looking for really good murder mystery, A Murder at the End of the World, it's excellent. Fargo, great mystery, sci-fi, Beacon 23. There's a lot going on, and they've all just started. So yeah, catch up and watch along with us.
All right, I'll give my piece here about Drew, because I share a lot of the same sentiment that you do. I think that was incredibly arrogant, and I hope that he's self-aware enough to watch that back and be like, oh, that sounded really bad. I shouldn't have said that, because I know that there is a big Survivor Game Bot community, and I'm not saying I'm like not in that community. I'm kind of like partially in, partially out, because I like silliness on Survivor. Not everything needs to be about strategy all the time. But there's no right or wrong way to play Survivor, you know? Even Chris Underwood, who's gone for the majority of the season, comes back in Edge of Extinction, manages to win, you know? He's still got the same check everybody else did at that point. Like, nothing changes. You're still a winner of Survivor. And if Bruce's gameplay this season ends up being, I just have to win everything in order to get to the end, then good on him if he can do it. If he can pull that off, play his idol when he needs to, that's fine. It's not any less significant of a win than somebody who manages to like strategically think and plot their way. Yeah, sure. It may not be as exciting to some people television wise, but it doesn't matter. So that really annoyed me, but not as much as Jeff Probst annoyed me in this episode.
All right, let's have that.
Probst.
Because Drew annoyed me more than Probst annoyed me. I thought that was such an arrogant thing to say.
Yeah.
And I think right now, for me, without Bruce having this big alliance and him just losing who he thought was his number one, I like the game that Bruce is playing better. I don't enjoy seeing a steamroll like what's happening with Reba. They were able to keep all their votes, even with this twist. It's just like, you know, they have a pile of idols. It's just, to me, that's not fun to watch. Seeing someone like Bruce, who's like a little bit on the outs. People don't dislike him, but he's not like part of all the voting. He knows where he stands in all of this. Yeah, maybe he's got to win his way to the end, but he's willing to do what it takes. He's an underdog in this. And I mean, I usually root for underdogs in general, but like, he didn't start out as the underdog. He started out as like, everybody likes him, and only Katurah was in the corner being like, I'm not so sure about this.
That was still so entertaining. It was never like, oh, Bruce is a villain because Katurah can't stand him. He was always interesting, and he's really interesting in this spot. Probst, here's what I gotta say to you. I like to cook sometimes, not all the time, but I really do like to cook things that are very like alchemy based, where I'm throwing a bunch of stuff together and, you know, it's kind of like I'm concocting a potion. But sometimes when you're doing all this, there's one ingredient that you throw in there and all of a sudden the cauldron explodes and you get like nastiness all over yourself, and then you have to go and spend like 3 hours cleaning up the kitchen. Probst, you exploded the kitchen in this episode. You could have had something nice. We were at Final 9, a very interesting, pivotal part in the game. And instead of just trying to even remotely let things play out, you're like, no. You know what? I haven't taken enough votes away from people this season, so we're going to throw this in here. You three who just don't do well at this challenge, congratulations. Y'all losers, you're going to lose your votes unless you can go and win them back. Like, fundamentally, I hate the idea of, okay, because you're not good at a challenge, you don't get the vote anymore. I mean, even the second part of it, you were still doing a challenge to try to get your vote back. So that part of it annoyed me greatly. it also ruined the entire second half of this episode because you already said it. It basically set up that the Reba people had all of the power.
This is the thing, is I think Jeff threw this twist in there because I think he was hoping that 1 or 2 or 3 would lose their vote, would be part of the Reba tribe, and that it would actually mix things up. But it didn't work at all. The only person that got their vote back was Austin, so they had all their votes. Dee got exactly what she wanted. She wanted Kendra out. Dee is really running this game. Like, she has gotten everything that she's wanted.
Okay, Probst, I'm going to suggest pick up the phone, call up Allison Grodner, ask her how these
No.
twists.
No,
This is
no. They don't need to talk.
See, they should talk, and they should both come to the same realization that these twists never work out like you guys think they're gonna work out. You think you're gonna get all cute. It never works. Just stop it.
All right, let's go back a few videos and let's re-talk then the shot in the dark twist that just saved Caleb. And I know that he's not there now, but that was such an amazing twist that actually worked.
I am a hypocrite. I own that I am a hypocrite. And you know what? I have some of the twists that Jeff has done. I don't want to just completely dogpile him on every single thing, but this just fundamentally, look at the numbers. It didn't make sense to me from the start, and then it ended up getting just so much worse as this episode went along.
Yeah, I think Jeff just really wanted to try to take away some of Reba's votes, because otherwise this season is just going to continue on, keeping on the way it is. They're just going to pick everybody off, and then we're just going to watch them at the end of this, fight amongst themselves. It's just, they're too strong. They have too many advantages, too many idols, too much. They just have way too much power. I think Jeff really tried, and it just didn't work out.
All right. Jay, Kelly, why didn't you guys just let Austin eat the stupid sandwich? Because then he would only have 1 immunity idol instead of where he is now with 2 immunity idols, with this incredibly tight alliance, with also Dee, who, as you said, is completely running this show. And this is where, okay, I'm gonna now talk to Julie for a moment. Julie, you seem like a nice enough person.
Mm-hmm.
You are completely out of your mind if you think that you're going to go into the final 3 with these people. They are going to boot you at final 4. You know why? Because they're all young people, and we've seen this time and time again. It's, it is a frustrating part of this game. She's the person who sticks out amongst that group. They're going to get rid of her, and she's going to end up not having a leg to stand on at the end of all of this. I want Julie to make a move so bad, and the longer you wait on this, the more impossible it is going to be. This could have been a fun opportunity. You already know that what you were wanting was not necessarily what Dee wanted. There was already a little bit of a divide there.
Yeah, Julie saying that she wants to go to the end with Dee, I was just like, why? You're not going to beat her.
Yeah.
Dee is running this game.
Yeah.
Absolutely, she's the last person you should be going to the end with. I don't understand it. Loyalty is important, but if you can get somebody else to take Dee out for you, then you can have her vote on jury, maybe.
Even the way that Austin was sort of talking, because Emily had that conversation in this episode where she's trying to sort of figure out where she stands,
Mm-hmm.
is she 5th in this 4-person group? And it's very clear from Austin's confessional that he will never vote against Dee in a million years. Dee has got him, she's got him wrapped around her finger.
Yeah, and Emily has really started to figure out that that's where things are right now, that she really is sort of at the bottom, that she's like, okay, I've been working with these guys a little while now, and it seems like anytime I try to bring up anybody from Reba, that they're just like, that's a good suggestion, but no. And she's really coming to confront that in herself, to be like, oh no, okay, so if this is the case, that every time I bring up a Reba person, the answer is no, then I am at the bottom of this and they're never going to target each other and I'm just a number for them. So I'm really hoping, I haven't seen the preview for next week or anything like that, but I am really hoping that this is the wake up call she needs to just grab everybody else that's left and try to do something.
This is your chance, Emily, to do the funniest thing ever. And by that, Emily Bruce, final 3. Let's go. The people, after she completely burns this bridge in the first episode.
Hey, they worked it out. They worked it out enough.
This would be great. I would be here for all of this. Like,
they have to work together. Like, they really have to. They're all just going to get picked off. There's too many advantages. They have too many votes. Reba's just going to steamroll the rest of the season. So unless something happens and they get out like a D or start to flush out some of their idols, no one else is going to the end. Even my guy, Bruce, who, I'm really rooting for, as you guys know, unless he just wins immunity after immunity all the way to the end, like all of them are going to have a really hard time.
You're going to have to be willing to go to rocks at some point if you have to. You're going to have to really put your neck out there on the line because if they don't turn on each other, you are all just completely screwed. And this is why this part of the season is frustrating me. Like, there's the obvious part of it of, okay, yeah, the Reba people are steamrolling, but it's also just watching these other people be so willing. They're just sort of like, hey, let me pull up my car keys and here you go, Reba. You take the car keys. You guys have my car. You guys have my check for potentially winning this season.
Yeah. I mean, it was really just circling around Kendra or Jake. Like, nobody really over there was any sort of target. Like, it's so frustrating to watch.
Yeah, and I understand that, this Bella group has been incredibly dysfunctional. Like, I get it, but you guys got to learn to put your differences aside for a moment and sort of really take stock of where you are in the game. Like, Jake, I know you wanted to come in and play differently because of what happened, but you're not going to crack that 4-person group at this point when you haven't worked with them for pretty much the entire game and you are this like affable, fun-loving guy. You're going to be a big threat at the jury. They're not going to want to take you very far. I have already made my opinion on Katura's decision so far this season very, very clear, and I still don't really understand those because it doesn't seem like she's that close to any of those people.
No, I think it's just that we have this Reba 4 that are really solid.
Yeah.
And then you have everybody else that is just not solid with anybody. And, you've got Reba kind of making little connections on the other side to kind of just keep them around so that maybe they'll throw a vote their way, maybe not, but it doesn't matter sort of thing. But because these 4 are just so rock solid and the rest of them cannot get it together, they can't get past whatever their issues are. They can't just be like, hey, look what's going on over here. We need to do something about this. Like, nobody is standing up and saying something and bringing them together. None of them.
Okay, I'll tell you guys where my head was at various points in this episode because we've already had our celebration for Bruce's immunity win, but the
second win.
The moment that Probst announced that no man had ever won that challenge, this is like, okay, Bruce has got this. I didn't even need to watch the rest of it. I was just like, okay, here's where they surprised me a little bit. I actually thought Drew was going to be voted out at a certain point in this episode because he was being so arrogant and they love to set people up for falls, but then beyond just that, there was this discussion of, okay, Austin's going to give away one of his idols. There's a discussion about, okay, who's going to have votes put on them? And it didn't seem like Drew was necessarily the person who was going to get an idol in case of emergency. And that could have been an interesting sort of blindside. And if there were ever big enough discussions, and, Drew, I know you think you are a fantastic player who has already won this season of Survivor based on that confessional, but I think you need to take stock too in how close Austin and Dee are and ask yourself, if you go to the final 3 with them, are you winning? I think based on what we've seen, I think Dee beats anybody.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. And he needs to take stock in Julie as well, because if for whatever reason Julie is at the end, she's taking Dee, it's not Drew. Like, Drew isn't really in the spot that I think he thinks he's in. I feel like I know what you're saying about the younger people maybe wanting to all band together and sort of like, oh, the older person is going to get, be put at the bottom sort of thing. We've seen that a million times. We just
Yeah.
watched on the Final Four Big Brother as well. It happens. But at the same time, if it is Julie who's sort of like winning and going forward, Dee's going to be coming along sort of thing. If it's Austin, Dee's going to be coming along. Like nobody's saying Drew, and I'm not mad about that at this point. And like there was a part of this episode when they had that sort of confessional about how Bruce is like an imaginary player. I was actually wondering if they were setting up for him to go home this episode, that like when we first met Drew, he came across this way as well. And like he rubbed me the wrong way right away on that first 5 minutes of the episode. I was like, okay, I'm not here with this guy, which is really disappointing because I like to root for the other nerdy people because I'm nerdy. I was like, oh, this will be my guy kind of thing. And then immediately is like, no, he's not my guy. He feels like he's too like arrogant, too into himself. It's just not for me. And then as the season was going on, I got to see other parts of him. I'm like, okay, maybe I was wrong about that. Nope. I just saw it again in this episode. It is part of who he is. And I don't know. I don't like it. I was hoping he was going to go home this episode, but we're here.
I just really, at the end of everything, I just wish that whether it's Probst or any other producer out there, just trust in the talent of the cast that you have. Because I think there's a lot of really interesting people on this season. And yes, this Reba 4 is really, really tight and they don't all seem to understand it's an individual game. But still, trust in the other people that you have to try to figure something out and make a move on their own, because you never know what's going to happen in that environment. I just think this idea of, rather than make the story about the players and what they do, we're making it about what production wants to do with some of these twists. And then it's how are the players going to navigate what we're wanting to do. And that's just a lot more restrictive. So friendly advice, production. Come on.
No, they just need to take away a lot of these advantages and idols. That is the biggest issue. It was the same issue last season. There was at one point, I think there was like 11 idols, fake idols, advantages. I was just like, there's so many things out there that it doesn't make the game fun to watch. And the same thing is happening here, where it's just like, there's like piles of idols and advantages and whatever. And like, it's just too much. It's not making it fun because it's making it that people can just steamroll, and instead of like, okay, can we just watch them play?
Let's watch them play. Let's all cross our fingers, hope for a blindside this next week. You guys can still do it. You can still provide us endless entertainment. Maybe Bruce will win immunities all the way to the end of the game.
I think he has to. If not, they're going to flush that idol next episode. The moment they can flush that idol, they're going to flush that idol. So it's either he keeps winning immunity or he's going to lose that idol, and then he's going to whoop right out the door.
All right. Well, we will see exactly what happens, but be sure to hit that subscribe button so you guys don't miss any other Survivor 45 coverage coming your way. And thank you to all of our patrons for your support.
Yep.
Happy Thanksgiving,
Happy
everybody.
Thanksgiving.
We'll see you here next time.